All right, let's just dive straight into this because, frankly, what we have in front of us today is nothing short of pop culture history in the making. Welcome back to another Deep Dive Explainer. Now, as an independent entertainment news anchor, it is literally my job to sift through the daily noise, the endless rumors, and most importantly, the massive PR spin to bring you guys the unfiltered hard facts. And today? Oh, today we are opening the ultimate file. We are cracking into the Kelce dossier. Look, ever since that breathtaking secret garden engagement back in August of 2025, the entire world, and I mean everyone, has been asking the exact same three questions. When is it? Where is it? And who actually made the cut? We are talking about a highly coordinated billion-dollar logistical marvel that is currently shrouded in military-grade secrecy. But here's the thing about secrets in Hollywood. The cracks always start showing, the leaks start flowing, and the Easter eggs, well, they're sitting right there in plain sight, just waiting for us to piece them together. So today we are unlocking the 2026 wedding mysteries. We're going to be using everything from insider court documents to literal fashion house lookbooks. So grab a coffee, strap in, because the media frenzy is incredibly real right now, and the clues we're about to look at are absolutely wild.
So where did this all begin? This entire massive countdown was actually officially triggered by the mastermind herself. We aren't just guessing here. Back in October of 2025, Taylor appeared on the Graham Norton Show to promote her massive new album cycle, The Life of a Showgirl. And you know how she usually is, right? Usually she dodges personal questions with a cryptic riddle or a perfectly timed joke. But when Norton pressed her about tying the knot with Travis, she didn't deflect. She didn't shut it down at all. She looked right at him and casually said, "I think the wedding is what happens after that." Boom. Just like that, the 2026 wedding year was confirmed straight from the source. No guessing required. But what's fascinating is that she didn't stop there. She actually teased that this is going to be a massive, completely stress-free affair. She outright stated that she absolutely refuses to have one of those tiny, high-stress guest lists where people are, on the bubble. Her philosophy? If she's hung out with you, you're getting an invite. It is the exact opposite of that intimate, secret backyard wedding that some industry insiders were predicting. She is going huge, and she is telling us exactly what her timeline looks like.
So, here is the blueprint for our explainer today. We're going to look at how the wedding countdown began, decode the exact date, and uncover those decoy venues. Then we'll unpack the guest list drama, look at the bridal party setup, and finally, zoom out to look at the sheer magnitude of this billion-dollar love story.
All right, part one. The wedding countdown begins.
Now, you really have to look at her response to the media here, because it brilliantly illustrates exactly how she operates. When Greg James over on BBC Radio 1 straight up asked her where the wedding was going to be, she didn't say, "Oh, we're still figuring it out," or "We haven't picked a place yet." No, she playfully replied, "I will let you know at a different time." Now, as an independent news desk, we are always looking for what isn't being said. The crucial takeaway here is that by October 2025, she clearly already had the location completely locked in. She has the answer, she is just keeping it under strict lock and key. This confirms that the master plan is already fully in motion. The venue is booked, the date is set, the deposit is paid, and the vault is sealed. But let's be real. In the high-stakes world of celebrity journalism, literally nothing stays a secret forever. Eventually, things slip.
Which brings us to Section 2, decoding the exact date.
Okay, you simply cannot talk about a Taylor Swift wedding without immediately unpacking the massive, undeniable significance of the number 13. I mean, it is the absolute core of her entire mythology. So naturally, when fans started looking at the 2026 calendar, their eyes immediately shot to the 13th. And guess what? June 13th happens to be the only Saturday that falls on the 13th in the entire year of 2026. Let that sink in, the only one. Not only that, but June 13th is her exact half birthday. And if you need more convincing, remember when Taylor Nation posted that photo of a chalkboard with some writing mysteriously erased in the corner? Digital sleuths went crazy and enhanced the image, claiming it clearly said June 13th KCNY, pointing directly to Kansas City and New York. I mean, the breadcrumbs are everywhere, and they all seem to point directly to this one specific Saturday in June.
But hold on, because the Swiftie math goes even deeper, and this is where it gets really interesting. If you write out June 13th, 2026 in standard numbers, you get 61326. When you take those core digits and add them together, so 6 plus 1 plus 3 plus 2 plus 6, you get 18. Stick with me here. In numerology, you break that down even further. 1 plus 8 equals 9. Now, why does that matter to us? Because the energy of the number 9 in numerology represents completion in a cyclical sense. It perfectly, beautifully symbolizes the end of one era and the absolute beginning of a completely new one. which, if you think about it, is the literal philosophical definition of a marriage. You have to ask yourself, is a billionaire pop star who builds literal physical escape rooms into her music videos the type of person to schedule her wedding date based on the numerological resonance of completion and her own half-birthday? Yes. Absolutely, for sure, yes.
However, as independent reporters, we have a duty to present all the facts, even the conflicting evidence. Because while the June 13th theory is incredibly strong, a massive leak just hit page 6 recently, claiming that save the dates have actually already gone out for July 3rd in New York City. Now, you might be wondering, why on earth would she abandon the mathematical perfection of June 13th? There's one word for it: scale. July 4th has historically been Taylor's absolute favorite holiday. We all know about her legendary 4th of July parties. But more importantly, July 4th, 2026 isn't just any holiday. It marks America's 250th anniversary. Think about the gravity of that. The day before 250 million Americans celebrate the country's semi-quincentennial, she would be throwing the biggest, most talked about wedding of the century. The prevailing industry theory right now is that she originally looked at June, realized she wanted something monumentally bigger, and pivoted her master plan to July 3rd.
Moving on to Section 3, Decoys and Real Venues.
The geographical mysteries of this wedding have honestly turned into an actual spy novel at this point. Let's contrast the two rumored locations that are currently dominating the headlines. First up, we have Madison Square Garden in New York City, which was heavily reported by TMZ. MSG offers completely windowless privacy. That means absolutely no rogue photographers can sneak a peek from a helicopter or a neighboring rooftop. Plus, it has massive underground parking for phantom, totally unseen arrivals. But then we have the Ocean House in Watch Hill, Rhode Island. This is a jaw-dropping 13-acre luxury estate located right next to Taylor's own iconic coastal mansion. The word on the street, and this is backed by some very solid sources, is that Taylor utilized her billionaire status to completely buy out another bride who had already booked this venue for that weekend, securing sweeping, totally unbothered coastal privacy.
So, how do we make sense of this? How do we reconcile Madison Square Garden with a Rhode Island beach estate? Well, enter the decoy trap. This is a classic counterintelligence move, and it's brilliant. The theory suggests that Madison Square Garden was actually never the real venue. Think about it. In the high-stakes world of celebrity PR, if you suspect you have a mole in your inner circle who is leaking to the press, what do? You plant a highly specific fake piece of information with them like, hey, just between us, we're getting married at Madison Square Garden. When that exact headline drops on TMZ the very next day, you know exactly who leaked it. You've caught your mole. And the best part? Every single media outlet parks their vans outside an empty concrete arena in Manhattan, while the real, actual spectacle happens completely undisturbed hours away on a beach in Rhode Island.
And honestly, industry experts completely agree that the MSU rumor was a total red herring. Veteran celebrity reporter Rob Shooter, a guy who has covered Taylor's career for literally 20 years, flat out rejected the arena rumor. He was quoted saying, "This feels like a Kardashian wedding. This does not feel like Taylor Swift." And he hit the nail on the head. Getting married in a massive, concrete, windowless basketball arena sitting in the middle of Manhattan traffic? That just does not align with the romantic, folklore-infused, whimsical aesthetic Taylor has spent years cultivating. This significantly strengthens the case for the sprawling, private luxury of the Rhode Island estate. The arena was almost certainly the trap. Rhode Island is looking like the likely reality.
But guys, the clues don't just stop at the venues. Oh no. They extend deep into the fashion world, and this is where my mind was truly blown. Let's rewind to May of 2025, when Taylor announced she was finally buying back her masters. She debuted a brand new, stunning 1920s-style logo. And what shape was that logo? It was shaped exactly like an elongated oval diamond. Okay, fast forward a few months to August. The secret garden proposal. The main diamond on the engagement ring Travis gave her? It is an elongated oval. The exact same, highly specific shape. It gets better. Fashion Sleuths recently pulled up Vivienne Westwood's Spring/Summer 2026 bridal collection. Right there in the lookbook is a stunning bridal skirt, and it is officially named Ophelia. Anyone who knows Taylor's discography knows the fate of Ophelia is a known Taylor track. The industry buzz right now is absolutely deafening that she might be wearing this exact Westwood Ophelia skirt for the rehearsal dinner. I mean, the level of premeditated multi-year storytelling happening here is just unmatched.
All right, let's pivot to Section 4, Guest List Drama. Because what's a wedding without some politics? We need to talk about the invites, because there are some truly shocking revelations regarding who is making the cut. Let's look at the facts. Zoe Kravitz is reportedly in.
Now this is fascinating because she is currently engaged to Taylor's ex, Harry Styles, which really proves that their tight friendship completely supersedes any awkward past relationship drama. Speaking of Harry, his status is currently unknown just due to his touring schedule, but apparently the door is wide open for him. Yet on the flip side, formerly omnipresent friends like Miles Teller and his wife Kaylee Sperry are allegedly out. This is pretty stunning, considering Kaylee literally bought Taylor an extravagant, highly publicized opal ring just a couple of years ago. They were everywhere together. But the absolute biggest shock of all, longtime iconic besties Blake Lively and Ryan Reynolds are also reportedly missing from this list. No way, right?
Well, let's unpack that, because the Blake Lively fallout is particularly complex, and it's a huge deal. For years, Blake and Taylor were arguably one of the most celebrated, picture-perfect friendships in all of Hollywood. But according to multiple insider sources, the fracture all traces back to a highly publicized, very messy legal battle between Blake Lively and her It Ends With Us director, Justin Baldoni. As that whole situation escalated behind the scenes, court documents were filed, and according to the reports, Taylor's name was actually dragged into those legal filings. Now here's the kicker. Even though Taylor reportedly had absolutely nothing to do with friction on that movie set, the mere fact that her tightly controlled brand was exposed to this messy public litigation was allegedly the breaking point. Sources claim the two haven't even spoken since. It really just highlights the immense fragility of these A-list alliances when brand protection is on the line.
Let's lighten things up a bit and move to Section 5, the bridal party setup. So, who is standing at the altar? The rumored bridesmaids share some incredibly deep, historic bonds with the bride. First up, obviously, you have Selena Gomez. This is a deep sisterhood, dating all the way back to 2008, when they were both just teenagers trying to navigate early fame together. Remember, Taylor was a bridesmaid at Selena's wedding, so it is almost a 100% guarantee Selena returns the favor here. Then there's Gigi Hadid, a friendship forged well over a decade ago at the 2014 Oscars. You also have Abigail. Abigail is Taylor's ultimate civilian anchor, her absolute best friend since high school. She is an absolute lock for the bridal party. And finally, Sabrina Carpenter. This is such a cool story. Sabrina literally went from posting covers of Taylor songs in her bedroom to becoming her massive opener for the Eras Tour. Insiders describe their current dynamic as being deeply protective, almost familial. This isn't just a group of famous faces. This is a bridesmaid lineup built on absolute, decades-long loyalty.
And looking over on the other side of the aisle, Travis is bringing his own fiercely loyal, tight-knit support system. First and foremost, you have his brother and podcast co-host, Jason Kelce. I mean, let's be honest, if Jason isn't the best man, the fans are literally ready to riot in the streets. Next up, Patrick Mahomes. The legendary Chiefs quarterback isn't just a teammate on the field. Travis was actually a groomsman at Patrick's 2022 wedding in Hawaii. In the brotherhood of the NFL, you always return that favor. Finally, you have Eric Jones. This is Travis's childhood best friend from Ohio. They've known each other since they were literally 4 years old. Eric is that guy you regularly see sitting right next to Taylor in the VIP suites at Arrowhead Stadium. It is an impenetrable crew of men who knew and loved Travis long before the billion-dollar spotlight ever hit him. Which perfectly transitions us into Section 6, a billion-dollar love story. When you really step back and look at it, the pacing of this romance has been absolute whiplash. It is incredible to trace the timeline. It all started in the summer of 2023 with a wildly romantic, honestly kind of risky podcast call-out about a handmade friendship bracelet. Travis just shot a shot. By October 2023, Taylor literally walked into the Chiefs' VIP suite, basically shattering internet records in a single afternoon. Over the next 2 years, the entire world watched them navigate 2 grueling Super Bowl runs and a record-breaking global stadium tour. All of that insane momentum culminated in August 2025, when Travis built a literal secret garden in his backyard to privately propose. And now here we are. All roads lead to the summer of 2026. They went from a beaded bracelet to a massive global spectacle in exactly 3 years.
And that brings us to this sheer, almost incomprehensible scale of what might actually happen next summer. 250 million. That is the number to keep in your head. Because if that leaked July 3rd save the date is the real deal, she will be tying the knot on the absolute eve of July 4th, 2026. That is the exact moment that 250 million Americans will be preparing to celebrate the country's 250th anniversary. Think about the cultural weight of that for a second. She isn't just throwing a wedding anymore. She is actively aligning her own personal milestone with the biggest national celebration in a generation. She is taking an event that is already guaranteed to dominate global headlines and marrying it to an unavoidable historic holiday weekend. It is a masterclass in scale.
And honestly, that leaves us right here at the end of our dossier with one massive lingering question.
If the leaked July dates, the Madison Square Garden decoy venues, the erased chalkboards, and the fashion lookbooks are all just part of an elaborate, highly calculated game of cat and mouse with the media, what grand Easter egg is she still hiding in plain sight? Because we know she operates 5 steps ahead of the press at all times. We know that every logo, every skirt, and every single radio interview is completely calculated. The 2026 wedding is officially on the horizon, but let me tell you, this investigation is far from over. Keep your eyes open, scrutinize the clues, and always remember that in this particular love story, nothing is ever just a coincidence. Thank you so much for joining me on this explainer today. Keep analyzing the facts, stay sharp, and I'll see you guys right back here when the next piece of the puzzle drops.